Hello everyone, my name is Gas and welcome to part 2 of the Hacking Workshop video version. Today we're going to be looking at how to start our own events, and by doing so we will be introducing ourselves to several new programs today. One of them is going to be Hex Editor, and that's going to be a little scary, so we're gonna work ourselves into that one. Another one we're going to be using is we're going to use some new nightmare modules. Also, we're going to use a very handy tool that you can find on the Emblem Brigade. And this is what we're going to be looking at. So right here is Eventiel, and we're going to be using this. Now, Eventiel is a program. This is a program made by Cedar Nix, who is a longtime hacker who was the lead developer behind the Emblem Brigade's Z-Hack, and she really left off with this amazing tool that new hackers can use, and it basically acts, I like to think of it as an interactive encyclopedia, which really is what it is, and I'll get to that reasoning why in the future. But what do we want to do today? Well, today what we want to do is we want to build a chapter. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is kind of understand how a chapter starts. So we're going to do that by making our own opening event, and then we're going to insert units into this prologue. So what we're going to do today is we're going to try to put some new units in the prologue using Eventiel, and then lastly we're going to end off this chapter with our own closing event. So first thing we're going to want to do is we want to know how events are structured. So if we go to event output here, now this Eventiel kind of has the template for an event ready to go. So let's just see what's going on here. So what's the first thing that we notice here? Well, the first thing that I notice is this chapter ID here. What this chapter ID means, remember what this number was and how we talked about addresses and how pointers acted like addresses? Well, this is sort of the same thing. So what a pointer does is that what a pointer in this case does is that it basically points to information specific to the chapter, and that information can be found at this offset. So in this regard, we can think of the prologue, or we can think of the pointer as an address to the house, which would be the offset here, and the house would contain all of the goodies like this information right here. So how is this determined? How do we find 06? Well, if we go to our nightmare modules again, and this is a new computer, so I'm just throwing that out there. This is a new computer. Recording should be good. Everything should be tip top. So if we go to, where is it? FE Hacks, nightmare modules, and we go to chapter data editor. Now, chapter data editor, we go to nightmare module here, and then we wait, did I even open a ROM? No, I didn't. Editor and nightmare modules. Okay, so we go here and we're at the prologue. So let's just see what this chapter data editor is. So object set 1, 2, palette and tile configuration and map, and tile animations and map changes and all that, these are all have to do with maps, and since we're not talking about maps, let's just keep going. In another episode we'll cover that. There's some weather things we can change here if we wanted to. If we wanted to change it to something here, if we wanted to change it, I don't know, to fiery glow if we want it. Well, we don't need to do that actually. We can go down here, and we can also change the Elliewood mode, or this is just basically the ally turns, enemy, stuff like that. So we can change that if we wanted to, but we're going to focus more on right here. So chapter data reference. So this basically is a reference to what information that the chapter, that the kind of the next part of the game is going to pull up. So when it's 06, it's going to be referencing, it's going to be telling the game, hey, go to that specific offset. So that's what it's saying. That's what this pointer is saying. Pointer at 06 is saying, hey, go to this pointer. I know that sounds kind of confusing, and so you might be wondering why it's 06 specifically, and why these are all different. To be honest, I'm not quite sure. I don't really know myself, but you just kind of know. You just kind of look at them and you just kind of follow it by example. So if we go, so like I said, so this pointer is acting as an address to the house, which would be this offset here. So what is now, since we've looked at this chapter data editor here, the next thing we look at when we're looking at this template here of events is this number here. So 0x D80000. What does that mean? Well, the way the game kind of picks which information to start finding, or the way the game stores chapter information is in hex. Now, what I mean by that is, the game. Okay, so let's just actually minimize this. And what I mean by this is, if we open up Hex Editor. Now, this is going to be a little scary for those who've never seen this before, but just bear with me here. I'm with you the whole second of the way. So, if we go to our if we're going to the ROM we're looking at specifically, tutorial stuff, and we go to, okay, great. So we've done that. So that's patched now. That's taken care of. What are we doing again? Oh yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're going to, with HXD, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to look at how the game speaks, for lack of a better term. So let's open our ROM here. So we go to tutorial, open this, and we go to workshop ROM. Oh no, it's the same. New tutorial GBA, and we see this. Now, what is this? A lot of you might be very intimidated by all these numbers here. Well, these are called offsets naturally, and this basically this is basically kind of like an address to where information is. So what a data table is, it's when people say data table, they don't literally mean like a table, like there's like a left, there's like a vertical and horizontal axis here. What they mean is, like, there's a set of data from, let's just throw out this example, like let's just say from offset 0 everything to 0000A or 1A0. That would be like a data table. That's what they mean. So it's basically like a set of information. So what I mean, so when I said in the last video that Nightmare is like a really user-friendly hex editor, this is what I meant. Like, what Nightmare does, it already has all of the data tables organized, so you don't have to look for them yourself. This is as raw as it can possibly be. So this is what I mean by user-friendly. Like, everything you want to change, you don't have to look for in Hex Editor. So that's what basically is. Like, Nightmare already has everything found for you, which is really convenient, which is really awesome, because it would save you like so much time. So back to this though. So 0xD80000. What does that mean? Well, for some reason, there's this. If we hit Control G, and Control G lets us navigate to any offset we want, and if we go to D00000, we hit enter, we end up getting over here. Now as you can, if you might notice that everything above it has a bunch of different numbers here. Like, over here is a bunch of different numbers, and there's some blank space here, but then there's some more crazy bytes here. Bytes are like, or byte would be like an FF or like a CF or something. But then when you hit D00000, you start to see F's and zeros all over the place. Well, that's because for some reason the game beginning at offset D00000 to, if you hit Control G again, to E00000, it's all free space from the D to the E. That might seem confusing, but think of it like this. So say if an author in a book wrote 8 pages and he left page 4, the beginning of page 4 to the end of page 4, or beginning of page 5 for you, that would be space that you could write your own story in. That's basically what that free space is. It's basically space for you to do whatever you want in. Now, I don't know exactly why it's there, but it is. So basically, all these F's and zeros are just random garbage that the game doesn't actually read. If we go back to this now, and we look at D80000. Well, this for some reason hackers are partial to the D8000. I'm not quite sure why, but whatever. I started my offsets at like exactly D0000. But let's just go with it. We hit Control G again, and we go to the offset that was in the template, and we hit OK. So then, okay, well, basically what we have here is that we kind of have space to write whatever we want. So what's assigned here is that once we start to fill in all of these blank spaces, and once we write and finish up, and we have our script ready we have essentially our chapter in a Notepad ready, and we assemble it via event assembly, and we're going to get into that as well. But once we do that, this from this offset to whatever offset it ends is basically like the amount of writing that you wrote for your page that the author has given you to write. And it might seem a little restricting to have only from D to E in terms of like offsets, but that's actually a huge amount of information. You could store probably, I would guess, and I could be wrong on this, but like you could probably store like all of vanilla FE7's events through that, just purely event files, or event scripts rather, because they're actually not as big as you think they are. Now, okay, so what did we cover just now? Well, we covered kind of what offsets are and how they're kind of like addresses to information, how they kind of like they're kind of like the address to information that you would find. And hex is kind of like the raw language, and we now kind of made a distinguishment. Well, we made a distinguishable difference between what Nightmare is compared to what like a raw hex editor is. So now what we want to do is we want to start to fill in these things. We want to start to make our own chapter and make our own story. So what are we going to do first? Well, the most simple thing to do would be to understand or to get to know Eventiel. Now, whenever there's a new hacker that I talk to or something like that, I always recommend him to go to Eventiel first, because what this does is that it basically acts as an interactive encyclopedia. If you have any sort of curiosities in regards to what codes do what, or what kind of event that you want to do, and you're kind of curious, you're like, well, what if I want to have one character talk to another character, or what if I want to have, I don't know, what if I wanted to have different music playing at some time, or what if I wanted to have a map change that happens in the middle of the chapter or something like that. Well, this is kind of something that you do. What I mean by encyclopedia is that you have all these possible things you've seen in vanilla FE7 that you kind of want to do yourself, but you don't know how. And what this kind of tool does is that it kind of has the commands for you, like right in front of your face. You just have to find it specifically, and then you can kind of organize it that way. You know what I mean? Hopefully that made sense. So like location event, character event, a normal event, or a turn event. This is kind of where you'd go. So that'd be under event conditions tab, and this event writer would be kind of everything else. So like music and text and giving money and stuff like that. So that would be like that as well. So what do we want to do first? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to put some allies on a map first, and then we're going to have a turn event where something happens, maybe like some dialogue happens on turn 2, and then we're going to have a character event where one character talks to the other character, and then that character gets recruited to their team, and then we're going to end the chapter off with a siege. What we're going to try to do is we're going to make a seize event. So when the Lord seizes this tree tile right here, the game will then trigger an ending event, and that will bring us to our next chapter. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw in some units right here. So you know how Lynn starts over here? Well, say if we wanted to have her start here, but we actually kind of wanted to like bring her over here to begin with. Well, what we're going to do is we're first going to have to load a unit now. So it's already at add, and our good unit is basically like the allied side. And say if we wanted to make reinforcements or something like that, we'd have to make a new block. So let's get Lynn in here. So we'll have Lynn, and she'll actually be. We can make her. Let's make Lynn let's make Lynn a mage. So Lynn can be a mage. Lead character can be Lynn herself. She's gonna be an ally, and she's gonna now bear in mind. So what Eventiel does is pretty neat. So you can either choose to load and save load and start in the same position, or you can have her load in one position and start in another. So what load is when a character gets loaded into the game, but a start is when she actually like starts off in her turn. So if we uncheck this, and her load position is 14:9, but her start position is 10 and 5, then what's going to happen, and we have to give her some items, so let's just give her, oh, she can't use an iron sword. Let's give her some fire and a vulnerary. And she has no AI. No allies don't have any AI because you control them, so they don't have any AI. And you hit add unit. So as you can see, Lynn is going to show up right here as a mage, or a male mage. Oh, so you know what? Say if we wanted to have a female mage, what we'd do is we hit edit, and then we click on the icon there, and then we try to edit whatever we wanted. So if we wanted to make it a female mage, we did that, and then we just hit edit unit, and then she changes to a female mage. So that's that. And if we wanted to delete her, we can just click on her, and she disappears automatically. So let's try to add someone else. Let's try to add an ally. So we're going to hit add again, and then we're going to go, let's say we wanted Raven on our team, and Raven was a fighter. So Raven's going to be a fighter, and her lead character is Lynn. She's actually going to be an NPC, and he's going to start in the same place. So we're going to check this again. We're going to click here, and then we're going to uncheck. And so where do we want her to? Where do we want him to start? Well, we'll say he starts right here. So we did that, and he's going to have an iron axe. So we're just going to scroll up here. Iron axe and a vulnerary as well. So now that he's an NPC, we can actually give him an AI. So let's just actually have him attack in range. So what this basically means, if there's an enemy in range, he's going to go for it. You can kind of tell what other AIs do here. So we're going to hit attack in range, and we're going to add the unit, and as you can see, he is green. So he's going to be a green fighter. He's going to be our NPC ally. So now we're going to add some enemies here. So what we're going to do next is we're having it added, but now we're actually going to go to the bad block. We're actually going to hit bad now. So what we're going to do is let's say we wanted to add Rebecca, and Rebecca's going to be a soldier. So, and her side is going to be an enemy side. Character can be none. She's going to be level 1. So she's going to start right here. And she's going to have an iron lance. Right. Okay. Where is it? Iron spear. And a vulnerary. And she's going to be guard, because we're going to try to seize here. So she's going to be guard. And then we're going to hit OK. And so she's going to show up right there, and she's going to be an enemy. And let's have another enemy right over here. And that's going to be Ellwood, and he's going to be let's make him a thief. Level 1. He's going to have an iron sword, and he's going to have no items here. So we can hit page up, and we can get there faster. No item, and he's going to have attack in range. We're going to hit add, and as you can see, he's going to be right. Oh, he's a berserker. Whoops. So I want to edit him. I hit edit, and I hit the unit, and I make him a thief. So there we go. Edit, and voila. So now we have units added on. That's great. So now if we wanted to see what that did in our script, we'll go back to event output, and you'll notice here that under the good block, there's 2 units here, and under the bad block, there's also 2 units. But how are we supposed to remember 03 and 021? I don't even know if you know that or what is these brackets thing, or what is this, or what is that? Why is it in this? Well, this nice little thing that this Eventiel tool has is if we hit use definitions and output, all of a sudden these definitions, and these definitions are defined. Basically, what these definitions do is they kind of represent these, like these pointers here that are items and classes and all that. So that basically that's a file in the game, and you can now what's interesting is that you can actually make your own definitions. But like you can make your own definitions if you're making like a custom chapter. If you're making your own custom game, you can actually make your own definitions by making a definitions file and and inserting that into the game. But we're not going to get into that right now. So yeah, just click use definitions and output. So these are basically definitions, and there's a bunch of them, like all definitions. So they're all definitions next to the pointer that it's defining, essentially. So we have two units here now. So we have unit lin, so it goes by lin and then class and then leader, level, and in brackets it's level and it's 1. The alliance, so it would be ally, and this 0 here is auto leveling. So basically what that means is if a unit has growths and you put 1 here instead, so if we hit delete and we go 1, then basically the unit kind of auto levels until the level it reaches is until like this level or whatever it is. So this is load position and start, and these are items, and you can only have 4, and this is the AI. So that's how it works, like that. Now keep in mind, once you start to kind of get the hang of this, you'll start to realize that Eventiel is going to be slowing you down because yeah, it's a lot of clicking. But this is why I like it. Like you can kind of like dip your feet in, and then like as you start to get better and develop your skills, you'll be able to kind of just pump out units here and pump out events and stuff. So let's just keep going. What do we want to do now? Well, we don't have an opening event, but under here, all it is OOBB. Now, OOBB is a code for remove opening blackness. So basically, what that means is after like the chapter screen kind of like shows up and it tells you what the chapter is, then it fades away. OOBB basically just takes you out of that blackness that it gave you. So if you don't have OOBB, the game starts out as pitch black, and you have to like hit the status screen or like a character menu screen, and then it'll go back to normal. But OOBB is just removing the opening blackness from the chapter title fade out to black. So we have units on here. The next thing we want to do now is start making some events and start making some cutscenes. So how are we going to do that? Well, what we're going to do is we're actually going to start to learn we're going to learn a bunch of different. We're not going to learn a bunch of different codes, but we're going to learn some codes that are typically used for opening and closing cutscenes and talking cutscenes and stuff like that. It's actually a lot more simpler than people think it is. When I first started and when I first started to try to understand, I thought it was really, really crazy how you can have like one event and then something else happens after that, and then another talk event, and all something like, and like just really kind of like what seemed like really elaborate and convoluted opening cutscenes are actually not that complicated. The way a game, so let's just start with opening event. So the first thing that happens is the game fades out into black. Now, the way the game reads events is that it's all scripted downwards. So if we have a bunch of codes here, like just at random, like blah 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 blah. So these, let's just say these aren't codes, but let's just say they were. So D, S, A, F. So this event, this code would happen after this one, and after this one, and after this one, and after this one, after this one, after this one, after this one, and so forth. So the game reads events that are called downwards, like as if they're reading a book or something. Enda is a code that ends the event and stops the event from happening. And if you don't have this, it just kind of trickles down to the next event down. So if you forget to have an enda, one event will just follow the event that's read below it. So just make sure you have your endas after every event, which is pretty easy to remember. Other important codes are actually what we have are enun and lu and l. So let's just do this. So one code that is very important is LOU1. good. So what does that mean? Well, LOU1 is load unit 1. I don't know what 1 means, but it's just there. So whenever we have units and we want to call those units on and have them loaded onto the screen, we have to in our opening event have to call them. So what we want to do is basically calling them to come to load. So we're going to do load after the opening event. So the map is going to load, and then the opening blackness is going to be gone, so you'll see the map. And once we hit LOU1 good, enum is end unit loading, I suppose. I don't really know what it means, but you can just make sense of it. So end unit, let's just say end unit loading. So it basically loads good, and then just imagine the good guys showing up on the screen, and then you hit enum, and then you hit LOU1 bad, and then the bad units load onto the screen, and then you hit enum again. So if we just leave our event like this, what's going to happen is we're just going to have an opening event where our good units and our bad units load. So actually, do we want to try that, or do we want to keep going? Yeah, you know what? Let's just see that. Let's just see that how that works. So if we hit Control All here, if we Control All it and copy it, we go to our Notepad Plus here. Now I really recommend you get Notepad Plus. It's basically like a really souped up version of Notepad. It can have, like, as you can see, you can have like more than one file open at once. So you can have all your event files open at the same time. And if you make a mistake in loading in trying to assemble a chapter, then it kind of like points out which kind of column it's in, and then you have to like find it, or row or whatever. So if we hit Control V and all of our things are here, let's save this. Save as. We go back to our desktop. We go to tutorial stuff. And we hit a new. Let's go new. Oh wait, no, I already have something here. Where was that? Events. So prologue. Let's just delete this, and yes, and then we'll save this as prologue event. And so this is now prologue event. So now what we're going to do, we can close this now. Now what we can do is we can open up our new program called, do I even have it? Assembler. Yeah, okay. Open up Event Assembler here. So I'll just make sure you guys read the README, and then like have all of the files that you need ready to go. So if we hit Browse and we find our text here, so on mine would be under Tutorial, hit Events, Prologue Event, and our ROM, which will be Tutorial Stuff. So New Tutorial. We hit Assemble. Voila. So as you can see, the events ended at D800FC. So basically what that means is the events started at D80000, and it's going to end there. So that's where the information stopped for the chapter. So if we close this, we minimize this, and then we minimize this. We go to Visual Boy Advance here. We open. We go to tutorial stuff, and we hit New Tutorial. Can I mute this? I want to mute this for a second. Mute. So we hit Go, and then we hit a new game. No. So now observe. So we're gonna hit Start. Yes. So let's boot up our this here. Now we're gonna actually see how this works. So we have our opening event. So like I said, after this chapter thing fades into black, OOBB is gonna unblacken the screen, and then we're gonna have our characters load. So what just happened here? Well, after it went unblack, the good characters loaded, and then the bad characters loaded, and then the opening event ended. So that's what I mean by the events being read like as like transcending downwards. So if we go here, we see that Rebecca We see Lynn here. We see Raven, Rebecca, and Elliowood. So yeah, that's that. So now what we want to do now is let's try to have some more events that happen in the opening event. So we're going to hit close here. And what we're going to do now is we're actually going to continue on. So let's hit some enters here. So how are we going to start off with these events here? Well, what we're going to do is we're actually going to open up FEditor again. So let's hit this. So the only thing I want you guys to keep in mind here is if we go to our ROM, which is here, we hit up text editor, and how 8.15 was kind of the beginning. Well, let's just start out at 8.15, okay? So 8.15 is right here. So what are we gonna do? Well, we're gonna worry about this pointer right here. So at 8.15, so 0x815, we go back to Eventiel, and what if we wanted to have an opening event where Lynn is speaking to Raven about something? Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to Eventiel, and we're gonna go to Event Writer, and we're gonna, under this drop down, I already have it here, but we're gonna go to text. And so then we're gonna have, right here is where we have our text IDs here. Now I'm just gonna leave this blank for now. What I want to do is just show you guys how I kind of use Eventiel to find codes. So what I do is so if I wanted to have a background of this conversation too, I could just have house with fireplace or something. There's a bunch of them here. So house with fireplace, and I want to add this event. So let's just say I want to add this event. So it adds under opening event, added text, blah blah blah. So we'll go here to event output, and we go to opening event, and here. So we have text 1 0x800. So we're going to change this to just 150 or 115. So what I mean by just using Eventiel as kind of like a reference, what I usually do is if I needed to find what kind of code does what, I'll just kind of figure out where it is. So if I didn't know how to find music and I saw that music was here, and I wanted to change the music or something, and I wanted to change it to Scars of the Scouring, something like that, and I'd hit add to event. So it's going to hit opening event again. So now I have Muse 0x15. So Muse 1 is the change music code, and 0x15 is Scars of the Scouring. So what I do now is I usually just take these and I copy them. So I copy and then I put them back in my kind of master sort of event file. So I'll hit this. So here are some other important codes here. For like any cutscene to start off, so say when you hit a talk event and you talk to a unit, and then it goes into like fades into black into a background and then into some music. Like say if I was recruiting someone, what we first do is we hit FADI. So fade into blackness. So fade into blackness at 10. 10 is like the speed. If you go like in the speed in which it fades out. So if we hit FAD2 or FADI2, then it fades into blackness really slowly. But if you go to 10, it's kind of like the normal fade in speed. And then we hit so say if we wanted to have a background too, the background code is BACG, and to figure out what background we want, I'm going to go back into Event Writer. I'm going to go to text, and as you can see, there's a house with fireplace. So say if I'll just check background. So say if I wanted to use hotel or house. So if I hit add event here, go back down here. This is kind of messy because I hit it twice, but BACG 0x0D. So this is what I mean by using Eventiel to find codes, taking the codes from there and then just bringing it back into here. So BACG 0x0D is the pointer to hotel with house. So what's going to happen here now is it's going to fade into blackness, and then it's going to load this background here. Now say if we want to have music after background, and then we want to have, and then after this, so we're fading in to blackness, and then the background is going to load, and then music is going to change, and then we're going to actually hit FADU 10. So what this is going to do is it's going to take all of these, like the background and it's going to take it out of the blackness so you can see it. So it kind of acts as an opening blackness again. So it takes you out of the blackness and you can see what's going on kind of behind the scenes. So after that, we're going to have text1 800. So what this means now is that, well, we have to actually define or kind of like make this text right here. So if we go back to FEditor and we're at, oh, actually we're going to change this to 815. So we go back to FEditor, and as you can see, this is 815. Well, we want to change this to make it our own thing. So what we're going to do first is we're going to actually figure out how a conversation is started and how you load a conversation and start it off. So first thing we do is you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to open up Paint and show you guys kind of a visual template of how it works. So we go to Paint here, and we'll just expand this to this. That's probably whatever. So let's say this was our screen here, and we had, what was it, a hotel? So let's just say, well, I'm just gonna have some fun here just because I'm bored. So so let's just say hotel Manny Caddy. So let's say that's our background right here. So the way the game loads units onto or loads portraits onto a cutscene is it does it like this. So you have sections here. You have this section, you have this section, and then this section, this section, this section, and this section. So that should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you also have this, and you also have this. So let's start to fill some things out here. Let's say we wanted to have Lynn. Let's say we wanted to have Lynn load. Actually, so this is. So I'm just gonna have this here. This is. I'm gonna make this a little bigger. So far. So far left. Far left. Mid left. And left. Right. Mid right. Far right. And far right. Oh, I cannot spell right. Okay, so this is kind of how the game divides portrait loading into sections, and I'll get into this later. So say if we wanted to have a talking cutscene with Lynn starting out right here and Raven starting out right here. So this is this is Lynn, and this is Raven. Raven's mad because he's always mad. So first we're going to do is we're actually going to figure out how to load a portrait onto a screen. So what we're going to do first is we're going to actually go to Portrait Editor, and we're going to go to Lynn. So Lynn is at 0x16 right here. So 0x16. So remember 0x16 is that. And if we go further to find Raven, who is at 0x23, we're going to remember that he's at 0x23. So we're going to go back into Text Editor. We're going to go to 815. We're going to control all this and delete it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to load these two faces, these two portraits onto the screen, followed by some text, and then end it off there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open left, and then that basically opens up this section right here. And then we're going to hit load face. Then we're going to do 0x16. So that's to call Lynn onto the screen. And then we're going to hit 0x01. 0x01 is just keep it as 0x01. Don't change that. And then what we're going to do is that basically means that the first thing that's going to happen in this text, in this event, this opening event here, this cutscene event, is that it's going to load Lynn at the left here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say we also want to load, or we're going to now open the channel to open what, mid right, load face 0x23 for Raven, and then 0x01 for to load it properly. So now we're going to open left again. So this basically now allows it, now it puts kind of like the spotlight back onto Lynn. So Lynn's going to say, hello, welcome to the tutorial. Now keep in mind that there's a certain limit onto how far you can, into how many characters you can type in here before the text bubbles start to overlap and start to break. Like once they break, it means you've kind of gone too far. Typically, I think the amount of the character limit is around 30-ish, 36. Usually, I usually go to like right about here-ish, kind of. I don't know. So we'll just say like that. Welcome to the tutorial, and then we do this, and this code basically is a line, like it just kind of like continues on to the next line. That's the code to continue on to the next line. Say hello to Raven. And then we hit A. So A basically is like the only way you continue is if you hit A again. So that's what she says. And now we're going to do open mid right. So that's going to open the channel for Raven to speak. And then we're going to have I am Raven. I am angry. Grrr. So that's that. Now that's just going to be the conversation. Now we can go on and we can continue. We can go on and we can continue with this. But I'm actually going to show you where these codes come from. So if we minimize this and we go to FEditor, we go to dist, and then we go to lib. Wait, no, not lib. We go to FEditor. We go to doc here, and then we go to text control codes. You'll see here all of these like opens that I'm talking about are here. There's also short pauses in speech. A long one is a longer and a longer one. You can just go through all these, and they're really self-explanatory, and you can do all of them. I'm not sure about the wink one actually. I've never actually used the wink one, but for the most part, these are all what they do. So those are all codes that you'd use. So that's a really important document to know and keep in mind. Also, whenever you finish with a conversation here, like we're going to hit apply, and so when we click apply, and X is going to show up here, it basically means it kind of terminates the talk event, and then we hit save. So every time we finish using FEditor in our text editing, we hit save. So let's just remember that that's at 8:15. So we go back to our events here. So now the next thing that's going to happen is that conversation is going to show up. Rima ends the cutscene conversation, or ends talk events and stuff like that. So you always want to end different talk events with Rima. So Rima just kind of like terminates the text conversation. Let's see what that's going to do. So if we hit Control S, we save this, we go back to chapter events, and we go to event assembler. We go to our events, prologue event, and we go to our ROM here. Hit assemble, and voila. So our offset is the ending offset is further down because we added more stuff. So let's see if our text event. Now I was just actually fiddling with this again. Text editor. So pro tip, I just kind of realized this. A friend of mine told me that if you have a fresh, brand new ROM and you have no changes in it, like no text changes or whatever, or no text edits whatsoever, you have to save it and then close it. You have to save your ROM in FEditor, close it, and then close the program, and then reopen it again, and then it will start to work. Because if you just save it and close it and then you run the game, it's likely going to crash because FEditor kind of moves things around. So you have to just kind of like close everything. Close FEditor and then let it kind of move around, and then kind of boot up FEditor again. And then if it's the first text edit change ever in the game, it's likely going to crash, and that happens. Well, it's going to crash and it happens every time. So just be aware of that. So I just changed it a little bit because I was trying to figure some stuff out. So it's hi, I'm Lynn, open mid right, blah blah blah. So let's see if it works. So we're gonna close this, and we're gonna open up our. We didn't really do that, so we open F1. So we're gonna restart here. Our units load onto the map, and then so now we have our text here. So Lynn loaded at the left, and she loaded her, and she loaded it, and she said something, hi, I'm Lynn, and then Raven, the window is going to open to Raven, and he's going to say, hi, I'm Raven, I ate everything, and then he closes, and now we're back. So that's basically how you make an opening event. Now let's continue on and try to make another event. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a talk event, and in this event we're going to have Lynn speak to Raven and proceed to recruit him through that talk event. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go into character events here. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to use Eventiel again, and I go to Event Writer, and I go to Character Units, I think. No, I don't. I go to Event Conditions. I go to character, and there's the talk, and then okay. So how talk events work is that there's, well, I'll just set it up right here. So character 1 is going to be Lynn, character 2 is going to be Raven. We're going to have only character 1 can initiate the talk for this one, and let's just hit add for now. Actually, you know what? Let's just, to be more clean in the event output, let's just say Lynn talk. So I'm just going to add this just so I can show you guys clearly what's going on here. So under character events here, we have character event 0x0, Lynn talk, 0x3, and 0x05. So we're going to hit use definitions output. Oh, that's Geets. So let's just change this to Raven. All right. So I'm going to copy this. You're going to bring it into the master thing, and you're going to hit Ben. So 0x0, what this is right here is that we have to give this an ID. So whatever this is, this is called an event ID, and we have to assign it something. Otherwise, the event is not going to be like checked off, and it's going to repeat itself over and over. So what we have to do is we have to assign something. Now it's a good idea to assign things after 0x05. That way. Because 0x like think from 0x01 and like 0x05, it has to do with like actual game stuff. So people just go after that. So let's just go 0x06. So that is our event ID, and the event is called Lynn talk, and the first character is Lynn, and the second character is Raven. So let's go down here, and how this works is this is kind of like we can think of everything here, everything that ends in end main is kind of like a table of contents. So if we were looking at a book and we looked at the table of contents and there was a chapter that was called the table of contents had different chapters listed. These would be kind of considered chapters. Everything that kind of ended in end main would be kind of like chapters, and then after trap data is where you can put your events at. So actually what we have here is that we have a commented out thing that says events. So this is basically for organizational purposes. Having 2 forward slashes makes you able to comment things out, which means you can kind of like say whatever you want here. So say I can put character event here, So that basically means it's used for just notes, to just have notes down. So when there's 2 slashes here, it basically means they're commented out and they're not going to be they're not going to be read by the game. So let's go back here. So what was our event called? It was Lin Talk. So let's go here. Let's do Lin Talk. We hit full colon. So now we're going to have everything. We're going to hit Enda here. So everything between Lin Talk and Enda is going to be our talk event. And what we want to do is we want to have an event in which there's a talk conversation and then he's recruited. So this is kind of things you see in vanilla FE7 where a green unit becomes a blue unit. Really simple. We're gonna make a simple talk event here. So we're gonna bring down all of this here. We're gonna bring up FEditor Advanced tutorial stuff. Open. Go to new tutorial. Go to text editor. And we're going to hit 8:15. So hi, I'm Lin. I'm just going to copy this and copy this. So basically, I just don't need to type those again because I'm lazy. So go here. We're going to go use 8:16 now. So open left, load face is going to be Lin. And open right, let's just make this open right. Open right is going to be Raven. And then we're going to say, Lin is just going to say something really simple. So open left, join my team. And then Raven is going to say, okay, but I still hate everything, because he does. Alright, so that's going to be a really simple event. So we're going to hit apply here. It's 8:16, so we're going to save this, go back to our events, and we're going to have a TEX1 0x816. And we can also have music here, so we can put music, so MUS1. I kind of know this off my head. Together we write as 0x42. And so now we can hit Rima. So we're going to go to Event Writer, Characters Units, Change Sides. I'm going to hit Add Event just to see what it is, and it's Turn Ally Elliowood. So we're going to hit Copy. And this, and we're just going to change this to Raven. So now, after the text event, he's going to turn to an ally, and that's going to be that. Next, I'm going to do a turn event. So basically, a turn event is an event that triggers after a certain turn. So if we go back to Eventiel, and we want to go to turn, so event conditions, we go to turn, player phase, single turn. Let's say we want to have something happening on turn 2, and we can make this I don't know, just turn talk or something. We can have a talk conversation at this turn. So we hit add. We go here. Now if we look at our table of contents here, how we considered this a table of contents, turn event player 0x0, turn talk, and turn at 2. So let's just explain. I'm going to explain what this means. So I bring it back here, and I hit Control V. So turn event player it's the event is going to happen after the turn, after player phase. We want to have we don't need an event ID here because the event is only going to happen once on turn 2. And it's going to be called turn talk, and so it's on turn 2. Oh, how about this? An event where reinforcements come in. We can do that. So on turn 2, we can have. So I'm just going to change actually what this is called. Just not Lin Talk. So turn talk is let's just say baddies. Baddies come, and so at this event we can have baddies come. And we can actually make a new block here. So when I referred good and bad as blocks here, they're basically kind of just like representations of the units here. So if we make a new block, say we actually, if we wanted to stick with the organization of this, we just go to units here. We don't need to, but we can. So let's just go. This is going to be called. Well, let's see what we have here. We can actually, you know what? We should probably use this anyway, just for references. So let's have a bad guy show up right here. Good. So, well, we messed up here. What we should have done is we should have made a new block name. But you know what? Maybe we can edit, and then we can make so bad guys, add, and then we edit this, and then he is. No, I don't think we can do that, but yeah, basically, yeah, hold on. So I'm just going to delete this and we're going to do this again. So if I wanted to add a new block in Eventiel, I'd make a new block name like I did. I'd go to add, I'd hit this drop down and go to bad guys, and then I'd hit add, and so I can have a soldier here, and we'll just whatever, a soldier. So 2 soldiers are going to come out with pursue without heed, and so if we go to event output now, under units, it's going to be bad guys. So we can copy this, and we can go under here, and we can Control V. So now bad guys are going to be called, and remember, and I'm just going to let you guys, I'm going to not say anything for a little bit, and I'm going to let you guys try to think or try to remember how to call on units here. So I'm just going to give you guys 5 seconds to figure it out. Okay, did you get it? Well, if you mess it up, remember it's LOU1. In this case, it's going to be bad guys, and we're going to have enone, and that's it. And that's it. That's our event. Baddies come. So on turn, so right if we at here, if we go, so baddie's going to come at turn 2. Awesome. So now that we have all of this ready to go, we have our opening event, our turn event, and our talk event where Raven gets recruited to us. Actually, you know what? Let's just throw in the Seize event as well. So we're going to go back here, event writer. Seize events are kind of different because they're located they're not in chapter goals. Chapter goals is just defeat boss or defeat all. In Eventiel location, it's under location and throne seize. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna it's really simple. We're gonna click here, attach an event, ending event, because what this basically means is the seize kind of triggers an event that you give to it. So in this case, it's gonna like after we seize, it's gonna trigger the ending event. So let's just hit this. Why isn't this working? Throne seize. Oh, here we go. So 7-0. It's gonna be ending event. So we hit this, and then at ending event, at seize, we're gonna take this. We're gonna copy. So now that you guys are starting to catch on to me and how I use Eventiel, and it's just kind of like finding out what event or what code is where through what I want to happen. I find it, I put it in, and then I copy it onto the big kind of thing. So we go back to our Control V. So now under location event is going to be seize. We don't need an event ID here because it already links to the ending event. And so 7 and 0, that's where the coordinates are. Now let's go back. Let's go to ending event here. All it's going to be is it's going to be MNCH 0x01. So that's basically we're going to move to next chapter 0x01. So now so let's just do a big grand summary of our custom chapter that we just did. We have an opening event. We have an ending event, a very simple one. We're just moving on to the next chapter after you seize. Bad guys come on turn 2, and Lynn talks and recruits Raven. So let's see if we have all these things ready to go. So we hit this. We go to event assemble, and then we go to our game. So hopefully this works, and if it works, then we're home free. Alright, so first up is opening event, where the units load. The talk conversation. Now watch. Let's try to recruit. So the talk option is going to show up, and the music is going to change, and then he's going to change his AI. So now he's part of our team, and we can move him up here. So after enemy phase, he's gonna come. Oh, the thief stole my vulnerary. Oh, and then the baddies came. So at turn 2, on the beginning of our second turn, the bad guys came. So now let's just try to take out these guys. Oh, check out that palette. That is a messed up looking palette. So those guys are pursuing without heed. We're just gonna take them out. Raven's got it. Oh yeah, destroyed. Alright, so now we're gonna have Raven just beat this guy up. That is actually a super cool looking palette. Wow, wow, this looks so cool. That is so cool. I'm floored by that. Did it work? Yeah, Soldier Rebecca looks really sweet looking. Forgive me, brother. So she dies. Now let's see if we can seize. So as you can see, she's going to seize here, and that's it. That's our chapter. We did it. We made a custom chapter. We had our own talk events. We had our own turn events. We could go further. We could have miscellaneous events. So let's just go through some more of these. Oh yeah, so it worked great. If we go to our event conditions and we go to location, area, so we can have area events. This is where we can have our villages and shops. Of course, we need to actually have a map that would have a village and shop, so where this would make sense. Door and all of this stuff. So you can just kind of explore this. It's really neat to see just basically all of these different codes and commands and stuff. It's pretty fun. I mean, I have fun. When I first started and started to like kind of you know, give and iron sword. So you know, like you'll like once you start like dabbling around in Eventiel and you kind of have all the codes there in front of you, you'll start to pick up on some things, and then as you sort of develop your skills, you'll realize you don't really need Eventiel that much. You'll find it's going to be slowing you down because you're going to be clicking everything. I still use it though. I still use it a lot for like unit placement, just to have a visual reference. But you'll know later. You'll start to be able to actually you'll be able to type out your own codes and type out your own events, and yeah, your eventing skills are gonna skyrocket. Also, I'm gonna link to Arch's eventing tutorials. Basically, I could make other eventing eventing tutorial videos if the demand was there. I totally will if you guys want me to. But Arch's eventing videos are very informative, and they still hold up. That's how I learned how to event, was through those videos. So they're really good. They're really good videos to try to like find what you want to do in specifics, because this is kind of like a really broad beginner sort of eventing tutorial. But if you want to start getting into like the nitty-gritty stuff, I'll link those videos. And if you want me to kind of go in depth or go and explain you know, specific events to you, then yeah, I can do that as well. But for now, that was the second tutorial video. We covered today basic events, how to use event assembler, hex editing. We sort of tried to get a really simple kind of understanding of hex and all those crazy offsets and numbers and stuff. So yeah, if you like this video, please let me know. You know, all feedback is appreciated. Trying to get this channel to grow and stuff. So whatever you think, whatever questions you have. Once I hit 60 subs, I'm gonna have a Q&A of hacking where I just kind of, if you have any questions, I answer them and kind of shed light on your questions and stuff. So for the next video, I was thinking of doing a mapping tutorial. There are a lot of tutorials out there, but you know, if you guys wanted me to, if you kind of like where these videos are going, I'll have a poll to see what the next video should be. And that's that. So thanks for watching. I hope you had a great time with this video. Check you later.